Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's Dallas Cowboys post-game show edition here of LANGERR at the mic. We will be breaking down this awesome week one of NFL football at the top, but obviously we'll be spending most of this time breaking down this Cowboys versus Rams game. Cowboys lose 2017 in week one of the 2020 season against the LA Rams. Mike McCarthy, fortunately in his debut, suffers that loss 2017. And so let's get into my notes here from a busy week one and an awesome week one. And then we'll get into some Cowboys stuff, obviously, throughout most of the video. But yeah, let's get right into it. So let's just be thankful football is back. With all the crap going on in the world with COVID-19, social injustice, and all that, obviously, let's take care of it, be aware of it, listen to the people protesting and their cause. Deal with COVID-19, wear a mask and all that. But you know what? When football is on, let's just enjoy it. So football is back. Let's just be thankful for that. A lot of picks I got wrong this week also. A lot of messed up games as well. That Philly blowing the lead, the 17-0 lead that they had against the Washington football team. The Indianapolis Colts costing me and a whole bunch of other people their survivor pools. Losing 27-20 to Gardner Minshew. Friggin' New York Jets just falling flat on their face. I just honestly picked them in more of a gut pick upset. All right, not based on logic or anything, more just my gut feeling was just AFC East matchup. Jets had a chance, but they just fell flat on their face and only woke up when the game was out of hand, really. What else did I say? And the Lions lioned, of course. Like, the Lions had a clear chance to win that game against the Bears, against Mitch Trubisky, but they throw an interception where they could have just let the clock bleed out a little more and forced the Bears to use timeouts and then maybe kick a field goal to tie it, but with Mitch Trubisky. But no, you give them a chance, and then the Bears take the lead, and the Lions had a chance to win, but DeAndre Swift freaking drops it, right? So I missed all those picks up, obviously including the Cowboys game. I had the Cowboys winning. But let's get into some Cowboys talk now, because that's what this show is about. It's a Dallas Cowboys post-game show, so let's get right into it. We're going to get more into my chronological notes, then we'll get into my overall big picture notes. So real quick, in the first quarter, the Cowboys defensively just couldn't stop the play-action pass. Jared Goff, Sean McVay, right, were always with the misdirection and the play action game, right, was killing the Cowboys. And then the screens also, just they'd misdirection one way, throw a screen pass, Cowboys would be caught, dead, would just be sitting like dead ducks on defense, and they just couldn't stop it for almost the entire first half. But Aldon Smith came to play, and we'll get into that a little bit later. And then, luckily, though, the Cowboys were saved by a lucky bounce field goal, or missed field goal, I should say, by Rams rookie kicker. Going to get my facts straight here. Rams rookie kicker. Got to get the name. Craps up Sam Sloman. Yeah, just wanted to make sure. Just blanked out on his name there. But so they got lucky that Sam Sloman missed a 29-yard field goal early on. And then the second quarter, the Cowboys started to cook a little bit. Ezekiel Elliott had a really great receiving touchdown where honestly between him and the goal line were 4 or 5 Rams defenders. He beat every single one of them and scored a really nice touchdown. Awesome, right? That was set up by a beautiful timing pass by Dak to CeeDee Lamb, right? And then also there was a play where Jared Goff just beat Trayvon Diggs with a perfect throw. I think it was I forget if it was Josh Reynolds or Robert Woods, but Trayvon Diggs was just an excellent coverage on the play and it was a perfect throw that beat him, right? And then there was obviously the great run by Dak, which he could have almost gotten a touchdown on, right? But Zeke punched it in. Somehow the Cowboys, after being largely outplayed in the first half, led 14-3 going into the second half, right? But then here's where the real disappointment started, because here are the Cowboys, right, at halftime. They're in a situation where they survived being outpossessed, outplayed. They got a lucky bounce with the missed field goal by the Rams rookie kicker Sam Sloman, right? So they're in a situation where now they're starting with the ball, which, by the way, is something that honestly, Mike McCarthy, I think, has done a lot in the past with Green Bay, and I hope he keeps doing it here in Dallas. Deferring when you win the toss. Jason Garrett would always receive. It would kill me, right? Always a better idea to defer and not receive. Start with the ball to the second half, right? Once you're settled in, and just take control of the game. The Cowboys had an opportunity to do that, but the problem is they didn't. because Michael Brockers had a really big sack on Dak, right? I think it was third down, and that pretty much killed all hopes of even going for it on that fourth down there early in the second half, and they had to punt it, right? And that's, I think, when the Rams got their touchdown, their go-ahead touchdown there, right? Or at least they had a really good drive, right? And then there was a Cheeto pit. There was a turnover by a Cowboys cornerback for, I don't want to say the first time in a while, but just it's really rare that we've seen that in the last 5 years. So that was great. But it was also lucky that there was a non-called blow to the head on Jared Goff there that the refs missed. And they made up for it later by obviously penalizing Michael Gallup for that little push offensive interference. But again, don't blame the refs. Just play better. We'll get, again, a little bit more into that. Just finish out my notes here. Big story of the game for me and for obviously a lot of other fans and media and all that. The biggest play of the game, and this is my biggest problem with Mike McCarthy in this game, right, was while Jason Garrett at times was way too conservative, right? That punt in overtime against Houston, that 2018 game where the Cowboys were, moving the ball, maybe not efficiently, maybe not well, but they're moving the ball. They had a chance to win. But what do? They punt the ball on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 in overtime against Houston, and they come back and win. But in this case, just be aggressive, but not stupid. And Mike McCarthy going for it going for a running play, calling a running play on 3rd down and 6, even with the hat count, right? Even with the box count, having an ideal box count by the Rams defenders, but you're missing your right tackle. And you're going up against Aaron Donald. You're going up against a decent edge rushers, in Leonard Floyd, not Malcolm Floyd. I said Malcolm Floyd in my previous, but Leonard Floyd, right? Samson Ebukam, right? They're decent edge rushers, and Aaron Donald is one of the best defensive players, if not the best defensive player in the NFL. So just go for it by passing it. And if you do happen to get less than the 5 or 6 yards that you need for a first down on that situation, just tie the damn game. Just tie the darn game up, So that was just, I would just tie it up 20-20 because worst case in that situation, if you, obviously absolutely worst case kick up gets blocked. But realistically, you make the field goal, tie game 20-20 with about 6-7 minutes left. Worst case scenario, the Rams go back the other way, score 27-20, but you could still have a chance to tie it up with a touchdown, right? Or best case scenario, you give up a field goal or you stop them and you could either tie it up and get a touchdown and win, right? Just tie the game, take the points in that situation. But yeah, just because if you miss that, the Rams also could have very well, they went back the other way. Luckily, the defense stopped it, made a good stop at that point, right? And the Cowboys did make good adjustments in the second half. They made more plays, 100% on defense in the second half with the turnover, with the sack, but it took a while. But at least they adjusted. At least they got the job done on defense for the most part, giving up only 20 points. When early on it looked like the Rams could have scored at least 30. And then obviously that huge play by Trayvon Diggs to stop the Rams on that final running play, right? That had the Rams punt it and give the Cowboys a chance to maybe tie it or go for the win. But that call on Michael Gallup, that PI call on Gallup on Jalen Ramsey there, look, again, it goes both ways. Was it by rule? Was that offensive pass interference? Yes. So should they have made that call? Yes. But at that point in the game, in that moment with what was on the line, maybe not. But I still believe you can't point to that call and say that's the reason why the Cowboys lost. I say the reason why the Cowboys lost is because they couldn't slow down the Rams early on, right? And obviously injuries, which we'll get to as well. But then that play sequence of that running play on 3rd and 6, going for it on 4th and 3, that's what lost the Cowboys the game, in my opinion. That alone. And then obviously Greg Zuerlein had a miss, but you know what? I don't want to fault kickers for missing 53, 54-yard field goals. So, and then obviously again that evens out because the Rams missed a 29-yard field goal. So honestly, I don't really blame that too much. But let's review my notes from before the game. When I previewed this game on Friday, I was all dressed up in my nice suit and tie, my Dallas Cowboys tie as well, right? I said that the best chance that LA had to win was if the Dallas offense didn't execute and if they stopped Ezekiel Elliott and they got after Dak, right? And if Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Josh Reynolds made enough plays to win. So I would say they didn't exactly stop Zeke. Zeke was by far the biggest Cowboys offensive threat in this game, right? But they did get after Dak. They took advantage of the Cowboys' weak offensive line. And you would have liked to have seen the Cowboys' offense execute better. They had some crucial drops. Yeah, that was a great play on Jalen Ramsey on Amari Cooper there. I believe it was a 3rd and 5 on the last drive there. Or yeah, it was resulting in the incompletion. Oh yeah, that's the one that the Cowboys had to punt on, and that was one of the second to last Cowboys possession. That was a great play by Jalen Ramsey, but maybe your 15 or your highest paid receiver, they just extended. Maybe you want to make that play. But then also, to me, it was more about also Dalton Schultz dropping a couple big ones, which I believe also had led to that, whole 3rd down and 4th down sequence, right? So crucial drops, because Blake Jarwin is out of the game. Crucial drops from Dalton Schultz there, right? And then matchup-wise, I said, that originally the Cowboys offensive line versus the Rams defensive line edge rushers. I said I gave the advantage to the Rams, and it ended up being one of the biggest differences in the game because from early on, Sam Darnold was the defensive player of the year that he's been for the last couple of years, right? He's played to that level, right? He was just that good. And the Cowboys, Terrence Steele, again, undrafted free agent, tall order to ask him to fill the shoes of Lyle Collins, right? And also on top of that, Cam Irving went down on that field goal play, right? So tall order for Terrence Steele, but you know what? It ended up also being a difference in the game, right? What Cowboys receivers versus Rams DBs? I said advantage Cowboys originally, but you know what? I said it ended up being even because, no one went over 100 yards. No one got caught any receiving touchdowns, right? I'll get into the exact stats later, but Amari Cooper, I believe, had 81 yards receiving on 10 receptions, and Gallup and CeeDee Lamb were at 50 yards. So even / maybe even an edge to the Rams. And also that was arguably a big factor in the game. And then the Cowboys tight ends and running backs versus the Rams middle linebackers and safeties. I said advantage Cowboys. But you know what? It was an advantage to the Cowboys definitely in the run game because Zeke was able to make enough plays in the run game to put, to make a difference, of course, right? With 80, I think it was 96 yards rushing. I'll get to that exactly later. But in the pass game, with Jarwin going out, they couldn't really, Jarwin's absence was felt because Dalton Schultz couldn't make enough plays. Blake Bell couldn't make enough plays. And we didn't see any of Tony Pollard really in the passing game. And then Zeke did have the 2 receptions, but that's it. And then Rams offensive line and Cowboys defensive line, I said advantage Cowboys, and that was still a big advantage in the pass rush for the Cowboys, but not so much in stopping the run. But I would say that's more because of the thinness that they were, thinness at linebacker than their actual defensive line play. But it was definitely a huge advantage to Cowboys in the pass rush. And then, real quick, Rams wide receivers versus Cowboys defensive backs. I said originally it was even. And I think even though that Robert Woods had a big day with 6 receptions and 105 yards, and Goff threw the ball really well, but there was an interception, and the Cowboys did adjust later on in the game. So they didn't let the Rams. For me, it was more the fact that the Cowboys let the Rams burn them in play action and in the run game than in the passing game for me, and then in just the drop back and pass game. And then finally, the Rams running backs versus Cowboys, linebackers and safety. I said originally slightly Cowboys, but then as soon as Leighton Vander Esch went out, it was all Rams. Just the committee of Malcolm Brown, Cam Akers, and Darrell Henderson rushed for 153 yards on the ground, right? And the linebackers, Jalen Smith particularly wasn't great in one-on-one coverage against Tyler Higbee, which resulted in a couple of big first down plays. So yeah, those are my matchups, and that's just that's what I outlined in my preview. But now let's get into my actual notes. And like I said, the Rams won because of their ability to just I want to say bully the Cowboys offensive line, but make enough big plays against the Cowboys offensive line. And to be a factor, right? And then obviously the Rams scheme in terms of the running game, their play action game, burned the Cowboys early, and and the Cowboys were playing kind of from behind for most of the game, right? And they could have buried it early in the second half, but they didn't because again, Michael Brockers got a big sack on Dak Prescott. So let's get into more of my overall big picture game notes now. So I saw too many first down runs not getting anywhere. Too many first down runs by Ezekiel Elliott not getting anywhere. This is a big problem that we had with Jason Garrett, right? And that kind of proved to be the same with Mike McCarthy today and Kellen Moore. And that was disappointing because when you run the ball on first down, right, the whole point of running the ball on first down is to get 3 or 4 yards, get your feet underneath you. But ideally, if they have 8 guys in the box or 7 guys in the box, or even if your offensive line is being outplayed, you don't want to exactly rely on Ezekiel Elliott or in those types of situations early on. And he did have some big runs. Again, he did rush for what was it, 96 yards on 22 carries. So he did have a good game overall, but still, you want to see, for Zeke, you need more. You need a consistently 4 or 5 yards on first down. He can't be blown up. You can't be getting 1 to 2 yard runs from Zeke when you're chasing the game. You can't afford that. And Aaron Donald was just a huge factor early and throughout the entire game, both in the run defense and in pass rush. He was just a big factor pretty much all game. And Amari Cooper did have a relatively good game. Excuse me just a sec. Yeah. Amari Cooper did actually, I found he had a relatively good game. He did have that drop, if you want to call it a drop, in that where Ramsey just blew him up on that third down play. But he had a relatively good game considering the fact that he was going against Jalen Ramsey. He put up 10 receptions for 81 yards. But my bigger question is, why weren't Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb targeted as much? Or why weren't they as much of a factor? Because Michael Gallup, who I have in fantasy, but that doesn't matter, Michael Gallup had only 3 receptions for 50 yards, and CeeDee Lamb had only 5 receptions for 51 yards. So when you're talking about the Cowboys, pick your poison. In a losing effort where they only put up 17 points offensively, right? You think Jalen Ramsey, okay, sure, he has Amari Cooper locked down. He's traveling him with him for most of the game. Why can't CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup get more involved? That's my big question for Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore. And then obviously injury concerns. Obviously big injury concerns. Blake Jarwin likely tore his ACL. I don't know if that's a preseason list or a shortened offseason COVID-19 thing, or if it would have happened regardless, but that just absolutely sucks, both for Blake Jarwin himself and the Cowboys, because Blake was supposed to have a really big year this year. So the Cowboys have a problem at tight end right now. They have a problem at tight end, they have a problem at linebacker, and they have a problem at offensive tackle and safety. We'll keep an eye on that going forward. And Dalton Schultz, like I said, he had 2 big drops backing up Blake Jarwin. So does Dalton Schultz keep getting the number 1 tight end reps? Does Blake Bell maybe pass Dalton Schultz on the depth chart? Do the Cowboys maybe bring in a tight end, or do they just go 11 personnel all the time, which they ideally should be? Leighton Vander Esch kind of escaped what could have been a more devastating injury, because it was suspected that he broke his collarbone, right? Sorry, it was suspected that he had more of a neck injury, but it ended up being a broken collarbone. But now here comes the question, is can Leighton Vander Esch be relied upon for a full season? Because yes, he had that all-pro year in 2018. Yes, he's a great tackler when he's healthy. He's a smart football player, right? He's like, look, he reminds you a lot of Sean Lee, right? Just a taller, lankier, rangier Sean Lee in the fact that you start questioning, can he stay healthy? Again, nothing against him as a player or as a person, but in terms of an availability standpoint, can Leighton Vander Esch stay healthy? That is definitely a concern that we have going forward. And is it maybe Francis Bernard time? Francis Bernard maybe will be promoted off the practice squad, or does Joe Thomas and Justin March and maybe Lou Gifford stay in there? We'll see. What else I want to mention? Injuries, and yeah, O-line just huge weakness, and like I said, just like you noticed when the Rams were coming after the Cowboys late in the game, when they knew that the Cowboys had to pass, like the Rams just were all over the Cowboys offensive line, particularly Terrence Steele. Again, just he was okay for most of the game, but it's a tall order to ask an undrafted free agent to start at right tackle and help with dealing, I mean, not directly with Aaron Donald, but still play against the line that features Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd and Samson Ebukam and all that, right? So and then linebacker play, again, was a huge concern early on, but you know what? Credit to the Cowboys defensive staff for adjusting, blitzing a little bit more, putting more pressure on Jared Goff, plugging up holes sort of in the run game, but that was still an issue. So at least it wasn't a backbreaker as the game went on, like it very well could have been from the early points in the game. And I also think we need to see more from the safety position. Is that going to be Brandon Carr? Is that going to be Earl Thomas? I don't know. Maybe Demarius Randall is a free agent. I don't know. But for me, Xavier Woods, fine, let him do what he's doing, but it's that other safety spot. We need more out of Darian Thompson or whoever's playing that second safety spot. Dak Prescott was good, not great, but not terrible. He was 25 for 39, 266 yards and 1 touchdown. I feel like he took a little bit too many sacks. I mean, the sacks that he took, I mean, some of them you could blame on poor protection, like I said, with an injured offensive line. But some of them, I feel like he held the ball a little bit too long, and maybe he could have gotten rid of it a little bit quicker. But at least he didn't turn the ball over like Carson Wentz did earlier today, right? So at least there's that. Great game by Ezekiel Elliott, though. Ezekiel Elliott played a fantastic game. 22 carries, 96 yards, 3 receptions for 31 yards, and 1 touchdown on the ground, 1 touchdown in the air, right? Look, it's not the fact that running backs don't matter, right? Like that whole running backs don't matter thing. It's not that. It's just that they're easily replaceable. But you know what? If Zeke plays like he did today in this Week 1 game against the Rams, then who will justify his contract? Because, he didn't get 100 yards rushing, he didn't get 100 yards rushing, but he did make 5 Rams defenders miss on that receiving touchdown, right? I guess the only little thing you would have liked to have seen a little bit more out of Zeke is maybe, you want to see more long runs or game-breaking runs, right? If anything, if you look at him compared to Saquon, Nick Chubb, and Derrick Henry over the course of a season, right? His longest run was, where was it over here? It was 14 yards. So ideally, that's my only criticism, which is, ongoing with Zeke, is that I want to see more game-breaking runs out of Zeke. But you know what? The numbers that he put today, totally cool with that. You just got to keep it up. And ideally give Tony Pollard the ball a little bit more, because maybe 22 carries for Zeke is a little bit much, if anything. And Trayvon Diggs, look, his coverage was fantastic. He was all over the whether it was Reynolds or Robert Woods or Cooper Kupp, right? Cooper Kupp, I'm pretty sure had a very quiet game, by the way, right? No matter who Trayvon Diggs was covering, right? Like, he blanketed them, but just unfortunately got on the wrong end of a couple of, bad plays, because that's just, when you're in the NFL, when you come from college in the NFL, it's another level, and guys sometimes make plays, right? Sometimes Jared Goff is going to put one in the basket to I forget if it was Josh Reynolds or Robert Woods, but sometimes quarterbacks will make really good throws like that. Or sometimes, I think it was Gerald, I forget who broke the tackle on him and took it, inside the 5, but sometimes players break tackles on you, and it's tough to react to that. It's the NFL, so. But Trayvon Diggs will be fine, and I'm really happy with the way Trayvon Diggs played. And he almost had an interception, and he broke up a really huge play in the running game late in the on that last Rams meaningful drive. But like I said, just the Cowboys can't afford to be running the ball. They can't afford to be in a close game where they're down and running the ball on early downs and getting no gain. The Cowboys cannot afford to be doing that. And last but not least, Aldon Smith. I can even throw Everson Griffin in there, to some extent DeMarcus Lawrence, but particularly Aldon Smith was all over the place, and that was awesome to see. That was truly awesome to see Aldon Smith all over the place, out of the league for, 3 years, since 2016, right? Since the Raiders, since with all the legal troubles that he had, got his life together, played a great game, like just in both pressuring Jared Goff and getting finally that sack. He was all over the place. So, and he was playing on both sides, both the left side of the line and the right side of the line. Run plays, pass rush situations. He was really good today, and that was really encouraging. Really nice to see. Maybe he'll be a comeback player of the year he will be a comeback player of the year candidate this year, for sure. And that's about it for my notes. Just big picture stuff. You know what? It's Week 1. Relax. It's Week 1. Let's not overreact to this, right? If the Cowboys had won this game, be like, the Cowboys came back and beat the Rams, blah, blah, blah. So you know what? It's Week 1. It's a long season. And maybe the fact that it's been a shortened offseason. I know that's the same for all teams, but new coaching staff, shortened offseason, no preseason. Look, maybe it'll take a couple weeks for the Cowboys to get their feet under them, right? And with officiating, look, between the chinky offensive pass interference call on Gallup and the missed, hand coming in the face of Jared Goff by Aldon Smith on that interception, it goes both ways. So that's not the reason why the Cowboys lost. And I always say, I'm going to keep saying this again until it gets stale. if you're good enough to win, officiating doesn't matter. But if you lost because of officiating, you got to play better. And the Cowboys had to play better today to win. And also, here's another fun stat for you. In recent years, the Cowboys have lost in week 1 of 2014, right? Remember that game where Tony Romo just was playing essentially with blinders on, couldn't see the field, his back was bothering him, right? And the defense was a mess. The very first play on defense, the 49ers just drove the field with Colin Kaepernick back in the day and all that, right? So week 1, 2014 was a disaster. How did the Cowboys finish that year? 12-4 and lost to Mike McCarthy and the Green Bay Packers in the division round game. But they were a Des catch away from, who knows, maybe winning that game and maybe making it to the Super Bowl and, well, having to play Seattle first. But 12-4 season after losing in week 1, 2014. Week 1, 2016, Cowboys lose to the Giants 2019 because Terrence Williams didn't run out of bounds, right? Dak Prescott's debut with Tony Romo getting hurt, right? But how did that year end? 13-3. And then lastly, week 1, 2018, right? Cowboys open the season against the Carolina Panthers, right? Do pretty much nothing offensively. Dak has under 200 yards passing, right? Just abysmal offensively. How'd that season end? 10-6. So it's an even year. The Cowboys recently, since 2014, have been making the playoffs in even years. And this is a new coaching staff, a competent coaching staff. I still say competent, even though I really don't like the way Mike McCarthy called that 3rd down, 4th down sequence, right, in the 4th quarter. I still believe in this coaching staff. Give them a chance. It's a long season. And also a lot of other good teams lost today. The Tampa Bay Bucks, right? Supposedly high-powered offense, blah, blah, blah. Well, they got dummied by the Saints, right? The San Francisco 49ers, right? I called the upset against Arizona, and what happens? Arizona upsets them, right? 49ers looked like they were rolling early on, but what happened? Arizona won, right? So it's week 1. Let's not overreact. Let's prepare for Atlanta next week. But if things don't change going forward, if the Cowboys can't adjust to their weaknesses on the offensive line right now, which they haven't had to deal with since 2012, 2013. If they can't adjust to Leighton Vander Esch being out, if they can't adjust at tight end, if they can't adjust at safety, right? If they can't execute on offense, well, then look out. And it's going to be a long season if that's the case. But let's end this on a positive note, right? Cowboys next week, Atlanta Falcons, right, at home opener. I still believe. It's a long season, right? And if anything, if recent history tells us anything, the Cowboys will be just fine. This has been a LANGERR at the Mic post-game show here. And if you like my commentary, like my videos, then subscribe to my channel, like this video, and also give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram. My handle will be included in the links below. And once again, this has been a LANGERR at the Mic Dallas Cowboys post-game show. Thank you for watching, and see you again next time.